So here we are at the hidden ROM of Eucalyptus Consulting. Ha ha! Well, nobody's here right now, so don't be afraid of COVID. So this is the conference area. And that is the office of our petrophysicist. Then here we have an office for an operations geologist. There's the unavoidable coffee machine. Oh yeah, here's some fun. There. Shale ale. Shale ale. And then our drill, our well, and the geological hammer. Okay, we're going into my office, which is always a mess. All right, books here. Let's close this door. A whiteboard where we describe our current project, Curve, a Python program for log analysis, and you'll learn about that later on. Some bullshit awards and certifications. And oh, I kick over a thing. And there are our microscopes. And as you may notice, we have a lot of computers around. Right, on my desk as well. All right, take the suitcase that I just kicked over out, and this is an incident light microscope. All right, and I turn on the light. You see it? Maximum. And then you can put your piece of rock there. And then we focus and look through the oculars. Can you see the oculars? Yeah. And then we can look what the rock looks like. And I'll show you a photo of that later on. Okay? And here is another microscope. All my microscopes have cameras, right? And this is the polarizing or transmitted light microscope. It's quite a honking thing, and that's where we look at using tin sections. So I got here a box, and it contains tin sections. And I think I have to pause the video here to open the box. There, the box is open, and this is a tin section. It's 2 glass plates, and in between there is a very thin layer of rock, typically 30 angstroms. And to be honest, you cannot really read through it. I don't think so. Especially not when the rock is pretty complex. But then we take this thin section and we place it on the turntable of the microscope. And we turn on the microscope, and you see there is polarized light shining through the tin section, and then I can observe what I can see here through the binoculars and the oculars, right? And then I can turn on the camera as well, and then see on the computer screen what the heck I'm looking at. I will try to do that in the next video, portion. I have to do some editing, but basically this is what we do. So here is my computer, and there you see the image that I see when I look through the oculars of the microscope. And this is at a low magnification, 20 times. So it is even less than the magnifications that I typically get on my cuttings microscope. But you can see there are shaly, dark colored areas, and there is silt. This is an unconventional reservoir of the Viking in Saskatchewan. And it is a terrible, terrible reservoir. I'm going to try to see whether I can show you a larger magnification. And I am going 200 times now. And I'm trying to focus it. There. And you're looking now in a small portion of this thin section. I'm going one magnification higher. This is 400 times. Right? And you can see all the sand grains here. And you see all these frosty bluish areas. That are pores, spaces in between the grains. And in this case, they're fuzzy because there is a lot of clay fills in it, which are often light colored, and you can still see straight through it. I will go to a cleaner portion of the reservoir, and you see there all those quartz grains, and there's a little bit of chert here and there in it as well. Most is quartz, and then here you have a clay laminate. You can see even the clays are not pure clay minerals. There's a lot of quartz grains in it as well. But if you look in between those grains, you see all this blue area. That is the space that we have between the grains, and that is what we call porosity. That's where the hydrocarbons and the water of the formation, the liquids of the formation fluids are stored. All right, and this is, I have to go look at my microscope. This is 100 times magnified. I'm not sure whether I can show you what that means, or maybe I can. Let's see. I go to 100 times on this thing, and then I put a scale there of 100 microns. All right. And there, that is 100 microns. And as I said, many of this what people often call sand in the Viken is less than 100 microns in size. It is, in fact, a silt. And that is one of the things you learn here when you look through the microscope at the Viking silt stones. That is a reservoir you're looking at. That's where you can produce oil and gas from. Well, welcome to the world of petroleum geology. So here you see a tray of drill cuttings. You know, just like a Black & Decker, when you drill into a wall, you get this dust, this powder coming out, and that is the remnants, the debris from the wall that you drill into. And you can do the same with an oil rig. When you drill for oil and gas, then you get debris that you can collect. We call that cuttings. And then you can examine under the microscope what the rock is that you're drilling through, with some interpretation, that is. Anyway, here you see a tray of drill cuttings, and I'm putting it on pause here for a second. And we're looking here at a tray of tubes with drill cuttings inside. You can see the grains, and those we examine under the microscope. So I've opened one of those tubes with drill cuttings in it. You go there, you see all these pieces. The pink stuff is lost circulation material. It is something when the drill fluid drops because it is suddenly absorbed in the formation or something like that, then we have to thicken up and heavy up the drilling mud. And we do that by putting in, say, limestone or other materials, sawdust, anything to get the mud heavier so that we don't get lost drilling fluid circulation. So I'm using one hand now, oh shit, and I take the drill cuttings and I put them here into this tray and then spread them out, and then I look at it under the microscope to see what we have. And I'll show you a view of that. I won't show you any interpretation, just pieces of rock. So there are the drill cuttings under the microscope, and I'm going to show you next some photos that I'm taking from them.